Hello and welcome to this edition of Radio Free HPC. This is where we talk about supercomputing, high-performance computing, and other technology topics. I'm your Toastmaster, Rich Breckner, with my co-hosts, Dan Olds and Shaheen Khan from OrionX, and Henry Newman from Seagate Government Solutions. Now let's get to the show. All right, we're back with Radio Free HPC. Rich Breckner here with Dan Olds and Shaheen Khan. Guys, no Henry today.
I believe he is out at the Black Friday sales. He was up at 5 a.m. He's out there fighting for those LCDs.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Fine. Give it. Go.
Well, I don't know who he's shopping for. He got Benny everything in the store 6 months ago. So now
That's right.
He's refurbing his house. Show. Yeah. But Dan, I guess, we've formed this podcast. We wanted to hear more about Student Cluster because the results are rather elusive. I can't find them anywhere. Can you tell us more?
The only place where they are right now is me. I do have the results.
Okay.
So, overall winner. Nan Yang at a 95% of all of the total possible points. That is a very high score.
Yeah.
And NTHU and Tsinghua tied at 88% for silver and bronze.
Wow.
Just fractions of a point differentiate them. Peking, who you were asking about, Rich, came in fourth.
Okay.
And average score was 70%, median score was 71%.
Interesting.
And like always, there's teams that have had some hardware problems where we're just sort of snake bit throughout the competition.
Well, Dan, I have a question. Where are the Americans? Where?
Well, Austin did well. They got a couple of silvers. UT Austin.
Yeah.
Texas State got a couple of silvers there.
They did.
Okay.
They did, but they couldn't put together an entire competition. That's the thing. Is if you look at Nan Yang and Tsinghua, or Nan Yang specifically, they're first or second in everything. I mean, this is how like South Africa wins at ISC.
Yeah.
Is they put together just a strong overall performance. They don't have to win everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you've got to be in the top two or so in everything. Top two or three.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting is to look at the configurations. I have a story up on that also, but the node count is dropping considerably down to where there's one group, Peking University, that had one node. And I asked them how they thought that was a cluster, and it was pretty funny in the video how they tried to wiggle their way around that. It has the computational power of a cluster. Yeah, but it's not a cluster.
Well, Cyclops is a cluster then, I guess, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you
cluster
go.
That
but what is their configuration?
Oh, they have one node with two CPUs, and then they had 16. Well, they actually ended up using 10 of them. 10 GPUs, V100s.
Ooh, 10.
Which must have come out through a breakout box on the PCI lanes.
Mm-hmm.
So they could have probably made a better case by saying we have a cluster of GPUs.
Still doesn't count. Because, a cluster is running more than one OS instance.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's my definition. How many OS kernels are you running? Yeah.
Should be at least 2 or above.
2 would be good, yes.
Yeah. So how did they fare results-wise with this configuration with one node, Dan? I guess that's one.
You'll see as it comes in, they did fairly well.
Okay.
But configuration is changing over time. I've had this feeling that the number of nodes is really going down, and I confirmed it. Even since 2016, total node average was 4.23. Now it's 3.63. And while the number of cores CPU are going up, total cores dropped from 213 down to 158.
Huh.
Okay. So
and RAM went up. and the number of accelerators went up from 7.9 to 9.3 average.
Dan, am I seeing this right? Everyone had GPUs from NVIDIA? Every single team? Is that correct?
I believe so.
That is correct. Although one team started out with AMD GPUs, but then realized, oh, wait a minute, this is double precision that we need, and bailed and went over to borrowed a couple of NVIDIA P100s.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Let's jump to the next one. Competition results, the benchmarks. We set a new record in LinPack and HPCG. And that was one team doing it. This is only the second time in SC competition history where the same team has won both LinPack and HPCG.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it has also won the championship. So Nanyang did win the championship.
Nanyang is in Singapore, right?
Yes, the pride of Singapore.
And deservedly so. Well done.
Yeah, they've been coming up over the years.
So this is is that double the previous record? Something like
Nearly.
that? Nearly.
You'll see it.
Wow.
Let's flip the next chart and you'll see.
Okay.
We were at 37.08 and we went to 51.77 on the LinPack side.
Nice.
And that's just from going from P100
to V100.
To V100 from NVIDIA.
So that's 50% higher. Yeah.
I don't think that the Skylakes had anything to do with it, because I don't believe that Nanyang was running Skylakes. So it's the accelerator. HPCG scores rose nearly the same amount to now a new record in HPCG. And plus, I think the students are just getting HPCG a little bit better.
And those are gigaflops there. So
yeah.
2,000 these are teraflops, right? So, all right, interesting.
But look at the rate of change from like ASC16, where we were at 12.03 on LinPack, and SC17. Now we're at 51.77.
Jeez, wow.
That's a little over a year.
4x.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Thank God that LinPack is the most important application in HPC, and that's what everybody's running.
LinPack is a very important application.
Oh, it's a hugely important application.
Yeah.
But
whatever.
Luckily, this competition is a suite of applications, Dan, so it isn't just about LinPack, but that's a good place to start.
But we can see the difference between the top LinPack at 51 teraflops and top HPCG at just over 2 teraflops. That's a 50 over 2. That's 25x.
Yeah, and that's what HPCG is supposed to do. It's supposed to mimic what today's applications are like, and to be the toughest application your system will run and provide the worst performance you'll ever see from it. I mean, a lot of sparse matrices and things like that in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite the torture test.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, what's next?
Let's move on to the applications. And let's start with the interview. Everybody pretty much did well in the interview, in the engagement stuff. They were all in the high 80s, low 90s. So these kids knew their stuff. And this was graded by having application experts go around and interview each of the teams and grill them about what they're doing. Let's take a look at Mr. Bays. Tsinghua, Nanyang, neck and neck on that. Northeastern University, pretty close third. And IIT, Illinois Institute of Technology, which also includes a couple of high schools, 96%. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Is that a big data benchmark, just by the name, I'm guessing? Bayesian? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it is Bayesian.
Okay.
And take a look at the average score and the median score. These teams did pretty well. We had some teams that didn't do as well on that. Look at how low the average and the median are.
Yeah, okay.
Born is really interesting because it required them to do what are called shots.
Yes.
And each of these shots, they're embarrassingly parallel, but they take about 2 to 3 hours on CPUs, and about slowest I heard was 7 minutes on GPUs. And you can really tell the difference between the teams that ported the application entirely over to GPUs and those that didn't. Tsinghua, Nanyang, NTHU, USTC, they all made the port. But look at that median score at 55%. The others did not.
Okay.
So if you didn't port it, ouch.
Yeah.
A lot of teams tried to run it in the cloud, but the cloud's just running CPUs. That was the other aspect of this, by the way. There was a cloud aspect that they each received $600 to run on the Azure cloud, and they could do whatever they wanted with it. They could run whatever applications they wanted up there. But that didn't help you very much with Born.
Yeah. Interesting.
So Born is a quantum chemistry code?
I believe so, yes.
Sounds like the Born-Oppenheimer approximation thing.
That's what I thought, too, if I knew what that was. That's what I was
high energy physics, probably. So
yeah.
Okay. What is this USTC honorable mention, Dan? Why did that stand out for you?
They had a nice score,
Yeah.
and the rest of the scores dropped off radically after that.
Okay.
So I want to give them a little recognition. I'm always trying to give as many teams recognition as I can in this. MPass is the mystery application, and what it had students doing was modeling the climate if we used Antarctica to freeze out carbon. So if carbon, CO2 is coming out of the atmosphere and being gathered in Antarctica, what would the atmosphere look like? What would the flows look like? And as you can see, the teams didn't have too much of a problem with it. Nanyang at 99%, Tsinghua at 98%, NTHU right behind them. Fairly high median score, fairly high average score too.
Okay.
But an interesting application.
Yeah.
It sounds like some people did really badly, though, to get the average below median.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just, it's hard. There's just not enough time in the day to finish all these apps. And you take a look at, for instance, Born, the one we were just talking about, that had 1,136 shots. And I don't think the organizers thought many were going to be able to get through all of those. But these teams did. Looking at reproducibility, this is another really interesting aspect of the competition that's changed over the past couple of years. What they did is they selected a paper from 2016 SC and put the students on reproducing the result to make sure that it was valid. And students did reasonably well on this. Nanyang, 91%, Texas in second, NEU in third, with 85 and 83%. But the average score was 69%, which isn't so great, and the median score was 77%. So, like you said on the last one, Sheen, there are some outliers on the low end of this.
Yeah.
Well, the whole community struggles with reproducibility, Dan. So I think that's pretty remarkable as a whole. I think they did well.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I asked a couple of them in the interview is, were you able to reproduce the result? And several of them were just spot on. I think it'd be great to throw something at them where they don't reproduce the result and see if they go crazy trying to figure out why they haven't gotten that result, or if they go ahead and accept what their lying eyes are telling them.
Now, how did the complete high school? Because we had an entirely made of high school student team this time.
They did okay. They were kind of middle of the pack on everything. They weren't outliers on the low side. They even pulled in a good Lin pack. They were, I believe, 9th in Lin pack. So they did not have a lot of trouble. They didn't turn in an HPCG, which made their advisor mad. But they did a good job.
So this is, I'm just looking it up. This is the William Henry Harrison High School.
Yes.
So they really should get special mention and kudos.
Yes. Yeah. And you look at on the results for the applications, IIT had 2 different high schools with them. And
That's also very nice.
They were in the money round on 3 of the 4 applications. Either an honorable mention or a 3rd place or something like that, mostly honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, and the thing that was really gratifying is that in talking to these students, the vast majority of them wanted careers in HPC, including a couple of people that said that they made up their minds at the show after seeing the show floor, that this is what they want to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a victory right there. Good.
Yeah, it is.
Good deal.
Very impressive. So next up on our cluster competition calendar would be ASC in probably April.
Yeah.
Not quite sure where it's going to be yet, but they're gathering applications right now if anybody wants to apply.
It'll be in China, probably, right?
Absolutely in China.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Just not sure what site.
They move. I think they have they kind of a number of them apply to be the host, and they sort all that out. And,
yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to go to that, you think, Dan? Is that
I believe so.
The cards? Wow. Good for you.
I believe I will.
Awesome.
Well,
awesome.
If we're going to go wall to wall, we got to go wall to wall.
Yeah. Well,
nice job.
Just overall, Dan, I mean, you were spending a lot of time. Were they getting visits from the show floor people? How'd that traffic look?
Saw a fair number of people there walking around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could use more. Always should be more. But I know that some students received some interest in some. There were some internship and job offers, or at least the starting discussions for them, which is what we want to see. Because that's one thing the students get out of this is jobs and resume builders.
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
Well,
but a good competition.
I think these kids are all winners, Dan, and I really appreciate all the coverage and the time you spend pulling all this together.
Well, thank you. It's fun.
It's a long road. What 5 days of tracking all this?
Yeah, the videos and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Really takes. Yeah. Excellent. The other nice thing for you, Dan, was that given the trends with the number of nodes, they're all going to end up being Cyclops.
Yeah, they'll all end up with one. Then we can enter in Cyclops. We'll get one high school kid to help us out.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah. Well, that one had 10 GPUs? We can't fit that in Cyclops, right? Without some expansion chassis or something.
Yeah, we'll get an expansion chassis somewhere and run the PCI out to that.
You got extra wattage there, right? You're not hitting the.
No, I think we're barely at 2,000.
Yeah, really? There's definitely room for another.
That's some headroom.
Yeah. Well, good deal.
And that's the other thing. Cyclops was on display at the show and attracted some attention, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Looked great. Looked great with the plexiglass side. We tweeted some pictures of it. I tweeted some pictures of it.
Yeah, and I did a little video there.
Excellent.
Kind of did an overview of it, and that got some nice traffic as well. So
excellent.
It was good to see.
Nice project.
All right, guys. Yeah. Well, hey, let's switch gears here. Who's got a catch of the week?
You do, I think.
I do. Yes, I do. There is a interesting company called Nereid, and this is the first spin-off of technology that's being developed for the SKA square kilometer array.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that device or set of devices is still years away, but they're working on all the pieces that'll make it work because it's such a huge data problem. This Nereid has come up with a GPU accelerated JBOD, and it seemed really innovative to me, and I just wanted to bring it up because the interest in this from the hit rate in the readers is just been off the chart. So a lot of people are curious as to what this thing does and how it's helping the SKA. So
so it's GPU accelerated JBOD. So the GPUs are processing the data and cranking them through to the disk?
Yeah. So, I mean, the SKA problem is kind of an upside down signal to noise ratio. You collect tons of data through all these radar dishes, Dan, and you want to cull that down before you start sharing it to where it needs to be processed. So think of it, I think this is like a pre-processing node on site kind of thing. Don't move data that is noise. Move data that is information, and keep it till you figure that out. kind of thing. So,
Is it just filtering, or is it also doing some data reduction?
I think it's doing some kind of data reduction, looking for whatever those sour notes are that stand out. When you're scanning the whole sky for these signals. So, pretty cool stuff.
That's great. So
Yeah.
basically the storage controller has GPUs in it and does processing while it's at it?
Yeah, and it's just taking advantage of all that parallelism that's in those GPUs, and doing it on site, doing it close to where the data is generated.
It's more offloading then, more in situ processing.
It looks to be, from what I could tell.
Yeah, that's great.
That's very cool.
Yeah. All right, who else has got one?
I've got one.
Go ahead.
An activist investor has taken a chunk of Mellanox, 10.7%, and is trying to influence management to create more value. And it looks like this guy, these people, got a little hot under the collar that Mellanox didn't negotiate with Marvel for a buy.
Oh, Marvel, the one that are buying Cavium, or in the process right now? Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the deal, right? When you're a public company, is you're always for sale, as Scott McNeely used to say.
That's right.
Yeah. One thing I need to look at is if there's a lot of insider holdings of Mellanox, which I hope so, because that's what happened to Sun. There weren't any insiders to stop these guys. Insiders didn't have any shares.
Oh, right. So
They didn't have
at 10%, that they have a loud voice, perhaps there.
Yeah. If there's not a bunch of insider holdings.
Well, I don't follow the financials very closely, but it seems to me that Mellanox has been profitable consistently for a long time. So,
yes.
Are they thinking the company should sell and they should take their profit? And
I think that's what these guys think. I mean, these are kind of predators and scavengers.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Is they like to go out and do whatever they can to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
And I hate to see that.
My kind of semi-catch was a new FPGA that's been designed specifically for cryptocurrency mining, because that's like its own killer application, and it's causing people to have their own roadmap that is specifically optimizing that. So while at one end of the spectrum you've got tens of new chips on the drawing board and out in the market, at the other end you've got mega acquisitions. It's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, we saw ARM get purchased, was that last year?
Last year by SoftBank.
Yeah, and they seem to have really stepped up with R&D, at least in our technical computing space, since that. And acquiring companies like Alinea.
Yeah. They launched that for ARM this time.
Yeah. So a lot of progress.
I think they've done a good job of rounding up the software stack, going up from the chip, and now basically they're at ISV levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Red Hat is out there touting that they have, the consistent software stack for all these new major chips. So not just x86, but Power 9, ARM, and you've got that Red Hat support, the same stack.
Interesting.
Pretty strong story there, I think.
I have an update on my catch of the week.
Yes.
As near as I can tell, insiders own a tiny fraction of Mellanox stock.
Okay.
That's not good. That's not good.
So something to watch there.
Something to watch there.
Certainly Mellanox being, at such a big presence in the top 500 between Ethernet and InfiniBand, and stuff that's driving towards exascale. Wouldn't like to see this become a big distraction for them.
No.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't either.
But the battle between engineering and financial engineering continues.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, that's the world we live in, right? Capitalism at its finest. So
Yeah.
well, great. Well, guys, I think overall we had our SC17 wrap-up show, but with the student cluster just showing more, the interest in the stories and the videos coming out of there is just really terrific, and a lot of people didn't get to go, and we're going to continue our coverage as these stories unfold. So great job.
It was a good show. Good
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that, on that happy note, let's bring to a close this edition of Radio Free HPC, and we will see you again soon.
That's it for this edition of Radio Free HPC. Thank you for listening, and be sure to check back often for new episodes. Also, check out our website for more content, links, and a place for you to let us know what you think about the show. We're at radiofreehpc.com. Thanks again. We'll be back with another exciting episode real soon.